morning, Sunshines. Welcome back to my channel. It's Sierra here from Sunshine by Sea. As you've seen in the thumbnail, we are making this delicious apple pie that you can bake perfectly in your own kitchen. So if that's something that's up your alley, then let's get baking. Now before we get started with our double pie crust, let me just put this out there that this particular apple pie will be made with canned apple pie filling, and I'm only doing this for the mothers out there who are in a pinch and didn't have time to go to the store and buy apples and cook down their apples so that it's nice and thick to put it into their pie crust. This is for the moms that are on the go that need a quick apple pie and they have apple pie filling already sitting in their cupboard. So if you're that mama, leave a comment in the comments below and like this video for me. Okay, so this recipe comes from inspiredtaste.net. I will link that link in the description box below. It's from Adam and Joanne, and it first starts with 2.5 cups of flour. So let's put that in our medium-sized bowl. We are going to be mixing this by hand. Just in case you don't have a stand mixer at home, I'm going to show you how to make it with your hands. Okay, so we have some cubed butter here that is cold. We're going to just sprinkle this over this flour mixture, and then we're going to evenly coat it so there should be no uncoated flour. And I'm going to use the fork to kind of just like mash it in there, but not totally squish it, if that makes sense. So basically, by the time you're done squishing it with the fork, you should have like a breadcrumb consistency. And yes, you can use a pastry cutter, but you know, not all of us have pastry cutters in our kitchen. We all do have forks though, so that's what we are using. And as you can see here how I'm using my fork to kind of squish that butter, I'm not totally mashing it to where it's like pressing the butter and making a paste. I'm more of just cutting the butter, that way it incorporates with the flour nicely. Okay, so this is basically the consistency that we're looking for. I literally mix this for 5 minutes just with my fork, and the mixture should look crumbly and resemble like fresh breadcrumbs, and there should be no like big chunks of butter in it. Now we're just going to sprinkle 4 tablespoons of water into this mixture and then press it together with a rubber spatula. If your dough is starting to like become loose and not stick together, we're going to add 2 more tablespoons of water to this. And then we're going to continue pressing the dough together until it comes together. Alright, once we got our dough together, we're going to turn it over onto a clean work surface, and we're going to work it just enough to where it can form into a ball. And now we're going to cut it in half and form 2 discs out of it. We're going to cover these in plastic wrap and put it into the fridge for 1 hour or up to 2 days. So now we're going to lightly flour our work surface. We're going to lightly flour our rolling pin. And then we're going to place our cold pie dough right onto the flour, and I'm going to actually kind of press it down with my hands just to make like a flatter disc. And then we're going to flour the top and then just start to roll it. If it does start to tear, that's okay. You're just going to press it back into itself. And then for thickness, we're going about 1/8 of an inch. Alright, so as you can see, I have more excess here. So what I'm going to try and do is kind of shimmy it to where it's even on all sides. We want about 1 inch around the whole border. Alright, and now I'm just going to sprinkle a little more flour so that doesn't stick as much. Flour my pin as well. And we're going to roll it into the pin. Grab our plate, and then we're just going to roll it back onto itself. Alright, and then gently press it into the plate. Now, if it tears, don't sweat it because you can always just press it back into itself. Alright, and there is your first pie dish. Here's a fun fact for you guys. I always break can openers. I don't know what it is, but I always break them. Oh gosh. And it begins. this is a 21-ounce can. And we want this to be mounded. So we're going to open one more can. Alright, and once our filling is in our pie crust, we're going to sprinkle it with a little bit of cinnamon sugar. Now we're going to set this aside and we're going to roll out our next dough to put on top, and we're going to make lattice strips. So same thing, lightly flour the top of the dough, lightly flour the rolling pin, and we're just going to roll it out. Again, if the dough starts to separate, you're just going to press it back together. You can also get a little bit of cold water, a little bit of ice water, and then just put it on top. And we're going to squish it into each other. Just to mend those broken areas. Alright, and then once you're happy with the size and length, because we're making this a lattice design, it doesn't have to be perfectly round. But you do want to keep in mind that there are shorter edges, so just take that into consideration. So I'm going to be cutting out 12-inch strips. So I have my pizza cutter here, and I'm just going to go right in the middle. And yes, you can use a ruler or you can eyeball it. Alright, so we got our strips, and now we are going to place them onto our pie. So we're basically just going to, and again, if they fall apart, just pinch them together. You're going to go 6 across this way. And now we're going to lift up 3 of these, the first 3, and we're going to put our first one down. So at this point of the pie, you can actually place the strips from the middle of the pie and work your way out towards the edge of the pie. But I wanted to see if I could actually work from one edge all the way to the other edge. It is doable. but I would recommend you working from the middle of the pie to the edge of the pie, just so that you don't have to bend those dough strips as far. But either way is doable, whatever you are comfortable with. And then wherever you see that needs extra pie dough, you can just press that in. And we're going to want to pull this over the edge. We're going to fold it over onto itself and just press it. So fold it onto itself and you're going to press it into each other. Now the last step after you folded your pie crust over, that way there's nothing like hanging over the edge, you're going to want to crimp it, and you can just use your knuckles and your one finger and you're just going to press it in between. And you're just going to do that all the way around. We're gonna put this in the fridge for at least an hour. That way the dough firms up, and when we bake it, it'll bake nicely and it'll be buttery and flaky. Once you take your pie out of the refrigerator, you're gonna lightly brush the top with egg wash and sprinkle a little bit of granulated sugar just to give it that nice crunch and shine. You're then going to want to preheat your oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit and bake this pie for 15 minutes. Once those 15 minutes are up, reduce the temperature to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and continue baking it for 35 to 45 minutes, just depending on what you want your crust to look like. This is our homemade apple pie. So again, we made a double crust lattice apple pie, just using canned apple filling. If you're in a pinch and you need to hurry and make this recipe, I definitely recommend giving it a try. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Have a great day and God bless. Bye guys.